So how you doing? Hey, I'm down here working on the Homelite 410, and I got everything disassembled. I'm starting to come up with a plan to do the work to this saw. So I'm going to kind of show you what I'm about to do, or attempt. Now these modifications are kind of extreme, and I'm probably going to have to get some help from Briscoe on some of the machine work. So, you know, I don't have my lathe yet. I went to Ohio to try to pick up a lathe, and the guy sold it before I got there, so I don't have a lathe yet. I did find another one, but it's more money, so I'm still selling saws to, you know, get the money together for the lathe. So that's kind of where we are in that process. So until that happens, I'm going to be doing everything I can to talk Briscoe into helping me. You know what I mean? I'll have to pay to ship it out to him, to ship it back and everything, but you know, give him a little bit along the way. But we'll see how this goes. Now let me show you this Homelite 410, show you where I'm at, and show you my game plan. Now, just so to be clear, I am planning on getting a second one of these and building two versions. This one, I'm planning on making it a little hotter. So, you know, I'm also coming up with a plan for the next build as well. So let me show you what's going on. Alrighty. All right, so there's the saw. She's disassembled, all but the crankcase, and she's been sitting in oil long enough that she's rotating real nice now. She just needed a little lube to get her rotating. She was kind of stuck before, but now she's moving nice and smooth. The flywheel, this was probably the worst flywheel I ever had to remove. It took a tremendous amount of heat and smacking on it and everything to get it off. And in the process, I ended up buggering up a couple of the threads, which, you know, I can fix it. A couple of minutes with a file, I'll be able to fix it. But I kind of got a little sketchy there. I was at that point where something was going to break or it was going to come off, and it did come off. But, you know, I did kind of bugger up a couple of the threads right on the outside edge. So I'll have to fix that. But here's where we're at. Here's the cylinder. Here's the piston. And the rings are laying over here. But the rings were definitely stuck. The bottom one was worse than the top one. And I figured out that they were probably stuck because the ring gap is massive. So they probably just weren't sealing anymore and allowed all that carbon buildup to get in there. The ring gap is like twice what it should be. So, or 3 times. It's huge. It's, I didn't measure it, but it's, well, here, let me show you. All right, can you see it? There's our ring gap. That's easily twice what it should be, maybe more. So it definitely needed rings. The piston is actually good if I'd clean it up and just put new rings on it. I checked it. It is actually good. It just got a lot of carbon on it. But I was doing some looking, and I noticed that Leon, there at Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repairs, he has a brand new old stock piston in his inventory. Comes with the rings, and it's the wrist pin, all of it. So, yeah, I did that. All right, so I got a brand new piston, rings and everything coming. So that's the route I went there. So we're getting a new piston in this saw. I will keep this one. She can be cleaned up. She fits nice and tight in the bore, so everything's good there. It would just need new rings. And since I found that on Leon's, I'm just going to go ahead with a new piston anyway. Now you see that blue line? That's how far I got until she free ports. And now I'm saying that's how far I got until she free ports, with this thing completely tore apart, and I just flopped that sucker in there. So with the piston all the way up and touching, that's how far I got until she free ports. So I'm pretty comfortable there, taking pretty much anything I want off the squish band, you know, making all the adjustments that I want. So we're gonna do some cool stuff there. We definitely got plenty of room to work with. What else? This is the stock reed cage. This is the factory reed, okay? This is gonna be the area that holds me back the most. So I got 2 options I'm gonna try. I'm going to do a less wild build. It'll just be like the firewood build, something that I can run for cutting firewood all the time. It'd be nice to have a 70cc class Homelite that I can use for my firewood cutting, right? And that's kind of what I'm going to do with one of my builds. So what I think I'm going to try first, this is reed material. This is a blank reed material you can buy. I tried this with the 925 and it didn't work. It was too stiff. But those reeds are smaller than these. So I'm hoping because the reeds themselves are bigger, this reed material might work better for this saw. So that's what we're going to try on our firewood project. I'm not going to do this on this one. I got a different option. Now the option I'm going to go with on this one is wild and crazy. A little too wild and crazy for most, I guess. But yeah, we're going to go with this thing and this reed setup. And you can see this is going to be a wild modification. This guy bolts on there like so. Makes sense. Carburetor goes up here at the boots, and you can see I'll have to do something to figure out a carburetor for this. Right now I'm thinking about getting one of the old style carburetors, one of the HL series carburetors, machining the bolt holes off of it and seeing if I can get it to fit in here and tighten up. I don't have one here. Wait, maybe I do. Let me take a quick look. I might have one. Okay, I do have one. So this is an old HL series carburetor. I'm thinking about trying to use one of these. These carbs, I have a feeling they're capable of pulling a massive amount of fuel. And that's what I want to try to see if I can get on here. You can see she's a bit smaller in that area than I'd like it to be, especially compared to this. But, you know, I don't know, we might come up with something, some sort of a nice smooth transition for it or something, because the reeds are massive, you know. We got 6 reed pedals in there, because I'm hoping to move a tremendous volume of fuel through this thing. So I don't know how this is going to work. I'll probably end up, I don't know, I might even try a motorcycle carburetor. I don't know. But I was thinking maybe I could come up with some sort of a flange that just bolts to here, comes out to a nice circle that I can pull it on there, you know? That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. I don't know. That might change. We might go with a carburetor off like a moped or something. I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. Now this whole thing will end up bolting on and kind of sticking out here like so. And I'm afraid that if I go with like a dirt bike carburetor, the carburetor will be tilted too much. Because they don't work so well whenever you start tilting them at extreme angles. That's what I'm worried about. And that's why I was thinking about trying to go with one of these. Now they do make racing carburetors that kind of look like this. That's what I would prefer to have. But I'm thinking about trying it with one of these first to see if it's even possible. I don't know, we'll see. This carburetor's shot. I can't use this one. She just flat out wore out. She leaks at the throttle rod here. And it's just not worth the effort to try to get this one working. But I'm gonna have to do some crazy things to get this on. You can see she don't match up at all. That hole there, I'll have to JB weld some of this one in order to get a nice smooth transition. You know, I could open this up and one up more, but I'd rather keep it about that size, maybe a little bit bigger, and JB weld this to match, you know. Now in order to bolt it, I'm gonna have to grind a whole bunch of material out of this area to get it to bolt on and tap in new bolts and everything, because these bolt holes here line up too closely to these bolt holes that I wouldn't be able to do it. Run straight through from these bolts because the sizes aren't right. I'll have to re-tap it for new bolts. I was thinking about doing one on the top and one on the bottom, but I might try for 4, just move them in just a little bit. I don't know. We'll kind of venture down that path when we get there. But that's where she's at. These are some of the ideas I'm working on. We're going to do some pretty cool porting to this cylinder. Some machining and everything. I'm going to see if I can get Briscoe to do it. And we'll see. Because all I'll have to send him is the new piston whenever it comes in and this stuff. So I won't have to send him a whole lot. It's kind of cheap to ship, you know. But that's where this Homelite 410 project is sitting. And, you know, she's coming together. We got a nice big bearing over here at the clutch side, so we're not worried about too much there. Just this saw is extremely filthy, and that's my next thing, is to go clean this thing up. But I'm pretty happy with my plan so far. It took me forever to get this thing disassembled. I think I had to use the easy out like 6 or 7 times to get this thing apart. Those screws were pretty rough. Things were stripped out all over the place, but you know, I got her apart. So now whenever I put her together, I can just replace some of them screws and I should be good to go, you know. But that's where we're at. So yeah, we got a game plan coming up on this Homelite 410. You know, I'm hoping to build it into more of a hot saw. Carburetor is the one thing that I think I'm going to have to sort out the most. I'm pretty certain I can get the reeds to work. I kind of got a plan there. I think I can get them on there. It's getting the carburetor set up. That's it, really. Now, with this reed block and the way I'm going to bolt it up, I'm going to have to increase the blowdown time significantly. So that's one of the things Briscoe and I are going to have to brainstorm, because I'm adding a significant volume of air space here. So in order for me to build up pressure and try to build up even more pressure from factory in order to pull the air, enough air through the reed cage and everything, because how big it is, I'm going to have to run a pretty hefty blowdown time. And I'm thinking 30 degrees is probably where my goal is going to be. So that's one of the things we're going to have to look at with Briscoe and see what we can come up with, because I am going to increase significantly the amount of, you know, case volume here. The problem you run into with running blowdown time at 30 degrees or something like that is the duration, the amount of time they're open. It becomes smaller. So I already have a game plan figured out for that. So, you know, it's one of those things people don't talk about much, is how to correct those issues. So, you know, we'll see how this goes. It's going to be a fun project, I bet. But that's where we're at. I think I'm ready to clean this up and get it shipped over to Briscoe now. So maybe that's where you'll see it next, probably. But anyway, hey, we'll catch you on the next one. Later.